Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tara and on my channel I like to talk about all things sewing, vintage inspired and DIY style. So if that's your cup of tea and you would like to join me on my sewing adventures, click the like, click the subscribe, share with friends and hang out and have fun sewing with me. Today's video is part 2 of the Vintage Inspired Capsule Collection series that I am working on at the moment. So I'm building my capsule collection, and last week I showed you my holiday capsule collection, which was really the thing that started all of this idea. And in today's video I'm going to talk a little bit about, you know, the concept of a capsule wardrobe, the patterns that I've used to create mine, and how, you know, maybe some ideas about how you could, if you are interested and like the idea, how you could put together your own. So a few years ago I found myself really stuck in a bit of a style rut. Now I make clothes for a living and normally they're all vintage inspired, and I was very focused on bridal, and this didn't really leave much time for things that I wanted to wear, and I realised that I wasn't really making lovely things for myself despite making lovely things for other people. I came across this book, The Curated Closet by Anuschka Rees, and it's not focused on vintage fashion in any way, but it is basically about how you can discover your personal style and build your perfect wardrobe. I cannot recommend this book enough. If you know, it's just fun to do anyway. And I worked through this book. I did all the exercises and, you know, culled my wardrobe and had a huge cleanse and worked out where I was as a person and in terms of my personal style. And it really got me focused again, because I'd sort of lost my way a little bit on this sort of love of vintage, and that actually, because, you know, I can sew clothes, I wasn't playing to my strengths, because I could actually build a very, very vintage looking wardrobe myself without having to go and buy vintage pieces and so on. So I think this is a brilliant book. Everything that I'm talking about today I will try and link, or I will link below, and you know, give you sort of a few additional ideas in the doodah below. So the first step of building the vintage inspired capsule wardrobe is to refine your inspiration and your style ideas and your color palette. Now each season I do an inspiration board, which you can see, and this season I've chosen I always make a lot of stuff in black, but I've chosen black with accents of green, that I'm gonna just start adding into the clothes that I already have. This just gives you a very clear sort of idea of, you know, colour, and it keeps everything really cohesive. Colour is a very subjective thing, and there's lots of stuff out there on, you know, in internet land about, you know, what colour you should be wearing and, you know, what's best for your colouring. I haven't really focused on this too much, because if I followed those rules I wouldn't be wearing the things that I wear. I wouldn't have dyed my hair the colour that I've dyed it. I've sort of broken all of the rules, but somehow have got to the most me version of me that I could possibly be. But if that sort of makes you feel better, then by all means do it. There are people who offer the service and you can pay them, but there's some great blogs and so on that you can have a look at. And if you just Google what colour season am I, or what colours should I wear, you'll find some really good resources that could really help you. The Curated Closet, there is a whole section on colour, and there are colour palettes here which you know, you might find that you're naturally drawn to these. And I think a good idea about colour is, you know, when your friends or people who know you, they say, oh, you look, that's a really nice colour on you, and so on. That's a really good indicator of what kind of colours you know, are working for you. But I'm very much, you know, if you like a colour, you know, wear it. Life's too short. A capsule wardrobe is made up of, I would say, I've divided it into 3 distinct areas. So the very first area of your capsule wardrobe are what I've called the hero pieces. Now these are the core essential pieces that work for you and your lifestyle, and they will be in basic colours. I'm saying the word basic because if bright pink is your basic colour, then so be it. You know, mine are, I have noticed, are black, cream, pale greys with accents of pink. And this season I want to put in a lot of like deep and dark greens and teals, and then some bright berry reds and some, you know, bright pinks, sort of Schiaparelli shocking pink. Because I'm very drawn to those colours this season. The patterns that I've used to create my capsule wardrobe are the Simplicity 8447. The trouser pattern for this is brilliant. I love it. I've made it in denim, I've made it in cord. I'd really like to get some kind of lovely deep foresty green, maybe in velvet or wool, and make another couple of pairs. I also love the dungaree or the jumpsuit, whatever you want to call it, overall version of this. I wouldn't do it in denim because I'm not really that kind of, you know, that's not really my cup of tea. But I would do it in maybe a black velvet with lovely vintage buttons or statement buttons on the side. So quite a lot of, you know, your wardrobe, it's really up to you to interpret it and to make it work for your style, which is why the book Curated Closet is really good, because it really helps you refine what that is. Then I have the McCalls blouse number 7990. I've made lots of versions of this and it's brilliant. It works really well with the Simplicity pattern, would look really good under the one piece. And works in a variety of colours. So it's, you know, again, that's great. That's a real staple hero piece. My circle skirt, which is my own sewing guide pattern, that is just brilliant. And then the other thing that is, I feel, a real kind of wardrobe staple for me is the Nina Lee London Bloomsbury blouse. Just because that's it's just a really beautiful pattern. So I have my Nina Lee blouse that I showed you last week, and you can see from this that it's, you know, it's all the colours that, you know, make up my staple wardrobe, and the little bit of pink sort of creates an accent colour, which works really well. But then I also have a version here that I made a long time ago, which is this sort of dark florals, which are very much part of my signature style, I would say, and I've also got dark florals on my inspiration board, and I could pick out any of these accent colours and go with them, but this sort of becomes more of a, you know, if I did this in sort of plain fabrics, it would be this sort of hero piece. But then leading on to the next thing, which I call wild cards. Now your hero pieces will make up the majority of your wardrobe. So you'll have maybe a couple of pairs of trousers, pair of the overalls, if that's your cup of tea, maybe a pencil skirt, maybe a couple of circle skirts, or a few of each. And then you have lots of top options, and you'll have t-shirts, which, you know, the Agnes Tee is a really good one. And you'll do them in your base colours or prints that sort of work for you. Wild cards, though, are sort of one-off unique pieces. They might not necessarily fit your rules as such, and I really don't believe in rules. They add the pizzazz, they add the uniqueness. They're one-offs. They might be the coat that you wear. They might be the shoes that you wear. So I particularly love Japanese kimonos and chinoiserie and oriental traditional costume. And I have quite a few vintage kimonos. You can see this one here, and I think they are fab, just, you know, put on over your core pieces. I also love vintage white embroidered blouses and silk blouses, and they just sort of go. And then I'm wearing this today with my jeans, and you know, this is like a fab piece. And then this t-shirt here is the Tilly and the Buttons Agnes Tee, and I've done it in this banana print. The colours sort of tie into the colours that make up my wardrobe, but it's a real statement piece. So I would say that that's, you know, like a wild card. You know, just to add something just a little bit different and a little bit off key, so it stops your wardrobe from becoming, you know, a little bit too curated and a little bit boring. The next area that is really one of the things that's going to make your wardrobe be incredible is the adornments. So these are all the accessories, so anything other than items of clothing that you use to accessorize your outfits, and you can go absolutely to town with this. I would suggest selecting certain colours that work with your core colours and building up sets of accessories within those colours. So I do tend to like black, so I have you know, lots of like black shoes, bags, belts, hats, gloves and so on. But I also love leopard print, and I'm also focusing on this sort of emeraldy, foresty, deep greens, and then sort of berries and different shades of pink. As I've gone through my process of putting my holiday wardrobe together and planning the pieces that I would like to add into my wardrobe, identifying the gaps in my wardrobe, there are a few things that I would really like to be making over the coming few months. So I definitely want to make a suit out of the green tweedy wool that I bought from France many years ago, and I mentioned that in a video which I would try to link somewhere. And lovely viewer Estelle, she suggested that I had a look at some of the Simplicity reproduction patterns, and I found this lovely suit pattern, so I will be ordering that to make that suit. And on my inspiration board, I've been looking at the technique of trapunto, which is a type of quilting that was used a lot in the 40s on suiting and satin dresses and evening wear, and I'm really interested in that, so I would like to add a little bit of that where possible. I would really like some kind of dirndl dress, and I've just made up this vintage 50s dress pattern, and I want to do a version that is sleeveless that I can wear over, say, this blouse and the McCalls blouses. I think it would work really well. And I'm also going to be making a pencil skirt, or maybe a couple of pencil skirts. I hope you've enjoyed this sort of brief look at building a capsule wardrobe that's inspired by vintage style. I've really raced over a lot of the points, but I do have a more detailed blog which I will link below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that some of the things that I've been talking about inspire you, and do let me know your thoughts. It's really lovely to have your feedback. I've been getting some really lovely comments that do really mean the world to me. They've perked me right up, and I hope you join me again next week for some more vintage inspired sewing and DIY style. Until then, keep well, keep safe and keep sewing. Bye my lovelies.